Need to save often. Okay, as I'm looking at my layout, I see that even though my photo's large, it's not really popping. You want your eye to go to the photo first when you look at the layout, and so that's your first design principle that you're learning. And so in order to make this pop better, I am going to go make my matte layer. That's this green matte layer. I want this green matte layer. Remember, that makes it easiest if you just click out on the desktop to find the active one. And I'm going to go to the Enhance drop-down menu, Adjust Color, Adjust Hue Saturation. As you can see, the shortcut is here. You could also just press Control U on the keyboard, and that's going to bring up the Hue and Saturation box. I use this a lot. This is going to change the color of whatever the active layer is, and my matte right here is the active layer. So I'm going to just simply move the sliders until I see something that looks good with my photo. And this is where I see there that doesn't look very good at all. Photo does not pop well with that color because it blends in too much. You just move the slider until something looks good, and this is where I say that Photoshop Elements makes me artistic, because I can just move it until something looks good. I'm going to actually play with the lightness, and you can see that this dark color makes the photo pop more than a lighter color. And that is the principle of contrast. Since my photo has some dark colors in it, actually they're kind of average colors, I need to put a matte behind it that is darker than the colors in the photo. And now if I want to make the other matte the same color, I can use my eyedropper tool to make my foreground color that same color. Come over here to the Layers palette to make the other matte the active layer. Get my paint bucket tool and click on it. And now the two mattes are the same color. This matte I can see is not even on all sides, so I can resize it a little bit. But now you've just learned two design principles. The most important one being contrast. Having the white text on the dark background really makes that white text pop, and having a contrasting color on your photos will make the photos really pop too. Now here's a very, very important step. We're on to step 17 that many newbies overlook. And once you see this in action, you will be amazed at how it really transforms a layout and makes it look very much more realistic. If you have it hidden, as the default is, to find drop shadows, click on this right arrow and you will see the palette for the effects appear. So you can minimize that or maximize it as needed. Now your layers palette is still down here, and we currently have our matte layer here as the active layer, and I'm going to put a drop shadow on it. Now if you've been playing around and this always goes to the last place that you had it, so if you've been playing around and you're off of it, you may need to move around a little bit. For instance, if you had added a bevel or something and you were into the bevel styles, you would have to hit this drop down to go back to find the drop shadows. There are also photo effects and other effects. Oh, I shouldn't have hit that. I'm going to get to look at my little hourglass mouse for a minute here till that generates. I have a few too many layer styles in this setting. Come on. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, there it is. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one where my drop shadows can be found. And I can even grab this and move it up so that I can see more of my layers palette if I need to. I'm going to find the low drop shadow and just double click on it. And over here you can see the big difference that it made. I'm going to make my photo layer as the active layer. Double click on the low drop shadow. Did you see how that changed? Watch as I do this matte. I'm going to click on this photo, and you can really see it on there. In general, we don't add drop shadows to text. It makes it much harder to read. But sometimes you can add a bevel to your text to make it look different. You just double click around till you find one that you like. Right here, I don't think I covered this. I'm not sure if I covered this in my written tutorial or not, but it says FX, and that is an indicator that there is a layer style on that layer. These are the layer styles, and so one of these is applied to this layer. If I want to get rid of the layer style altogether, I can, whoops, let's move this over a little bit. I can right click and choose clear layer style, and that takes it off. Let's go to this one that has a drop shadow layer style on it, and if you double click on that little icon, some style settings come up, and you can play around in here to change settings on the drop shadow, which we could cover in detail later in another tutorial. Let's see, let's move along. Paragraph 18, step 18. Well, it skips it. It shows how I brought in a background that I created. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and do that and bring in the background onto my layout. There's the background I made, and I'm going to drag it down to the bottom because backgrounds are in the bottom layer. Now, to get rid of this white background that I've decided I no longer need, I can hold down with it on my with my mouse and drag it up to this little trash can icon, and you see it disappeared. Let's not forget to hit save. We have to save often.